Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 1707 of our daily content grind. So today, I don't normally do this, but this kind of screamed my name. I will occasionally go on the tier maker website, not just to make the next tier list video, but also because I just want to kind of snoop around and see what other people have done recently, just for my own inspiration, just to see if there's anything that is kind of like, oh yeah, I'd kind of like to do something similar to that. And, typically I will put my own spin to it, or I will include things that they excluded, etc., etc. But in this case, someone just made one that just screamed my name. And I don't think there's any way we could actually avoid this. It's even done up in the same way I would have done it. It's Power Core combiners. We have not talked Power Core in a long time. If you're not familiar, Power Core was Hasbro's attempt to do a test run for combining to see if kids and collectors would still respond to combining toys. Because let's remember, there's this big period where they really didn't do anything with combiners. We had a few in 2001, and then they kind of gave it a rest outside of Optimus Prime's super modes. With the exception of Energon, which is more the traditional combiner sense. And then they retired it and just kind of forgot about it all the way up until Power Core during roughly around Transformers 2010 era. So this was kind of like their way of like testing the waters. And it's a universally panned line. It's a universal. It has its fans. But it's not known to be the highest quality of toy lines. We've talked about it on Plastic Addict as a whole. The toy line itself has a lot of flaws. But in this little bubble of a tier list, I have to judge it based on only itself. I cannot go, well, it's not as good as this or that. I have to compare it to the other toys in the line. Meaning, we're going to have to top tier some things that I'm not happy about. For the purpose of being fair with this, we're mostly going to be judging the center commander robot, the one with the 3 modes, including the torso, and the minicon aspect, and thus the drone aspect of the 5-packs, we're only going to kind of touch on. We're not going to focus on them too heavily, because all that, it was interchangeable across the toys. We're mostly concerned with how they were at the job they were supposed to be doing. So, we're starting with Huffer, who is pretty universally liked as an overall Power Core toy. In general, yes, it's one of their better executions. The actual robot mode does look really good. Clearly, it's a different take on Huffer, but this was around the movie era, so you had G1-esque characters like Sea Spray and Bludgeon kind of blending into the movie stuff, and this was in the same ballpark. But the vehicle mode is nice. I will say the minicon integration with him is actually pretty good. I really like how it works in the truck mode. And the torso's not too bad either. In general, this is one of the better outings for Power Core. Now, for the sake of having a little bit of room to grow, I'm going to put him up to premium price for now, and then we'll see how full everything else gets before I decide if I want to bump him up a level, because he's very likely going to end up being a Holy Grail level. But there's a few I know belong in there. This is probably not one of them. All right, so this is Searchlight, and Searchlight is, again, Power Core was experimental in some cases, so a dual rotor helicopter is not a common Transformer vehicle. It is really cool to see one here, though. The vehicle mode is really nice. I do like how the vehicle mode overall looks. The robot mode's okay. It's got a lot of junk hanging off of it. Like, the blades are one thing, but also the sides of the front of the helicopter are now hip skirts, the big poles in the back for the combination. And then there is the torso mode itself, which is, the torsos tended to have these issues where either the legs looked weirdly far apart, like the hips looked really awkward, or the shoulders were super wide out, and here being on stems does not really help. It's not the best of the torso modes. Everything else is okay-ish. So for him, I'd have to put him up to retail. He might end up on the lower end if I decide to count his minicon against him, because his minicon is one of the worst. I do remember his minicon being absolutely terrible. But that takes us on to Smolder, who I think is one of the more universally liked individual figures. So Smolder himself, it's a Decepticon fire vehicle. That's a really rare thing. I think we really liked it for that novelty. But it also tried to do things a little bit differently than your standard like fire truck transformer. I mean, I do like how the front end becomes the legs. It's actually a pretty nice little bit of transformation there. The tall shoulders I can go with. Like, it does give him a really unique silhouette. And the vehicle mode looks good too. I like this, not just, I like that it's like a fire like response vehicle, not just like a fire truck. So yeah, like as a new take on something, that's actually really cool. That torso mode is horrific. Remember what I said? Like, I just said they were either like way out weird shoulders or way out weird hips. He has both going on. So we like Smolder as an individual toy, and he probably has the best integration with his minicon, which is, it's an axe. It's an axe weapon for the fire truck guy. That works really well. But that said, that torso mode is docking some major points here. I'm going to put him above Searchlight in retail release. Individually, he is a very good figure. When I start working in like his what else he has to do as a combiner, it is so bad I'm going to knock him from premium to retail. As an overall picture, if you can ignore the combination mode, as most of us did, very solid figure on his own. That takes me to Ice Pick. And Ice Pick, again, a little bit more interesting. You know, it's a half-track snowplow. We've only, like, half-tracks are rare in Transformers. We got Snowcat and Energon. We got Perceptor in Reveal the Shield. And that's mostly your lot. You know, there's a few others here and there, but it's a rare thing to see. This is one of those, like, you will see another one where it's like, we're just kind of throwing things in to make it look like it does things. So, like, it's got the snowplow in the front, like, it's got the half track, but then it has rakes in the back, which act as the hands in the robot mode. So it's got some weird stuff going on. It has some weird stuff going on. And this kind of falls into the same realm as Smolder, where I really like what the toy does when it's in and of itself. I think as its own toy, it does look really good. And then you do get into like the really weird arrangements that are his that are his torso mode. You got the wide out hips, you've got the very stretched out shoulders. I will say, since they're not just like on big stems, since it's like an actual like triangle torso going up, like an actual like muscular body shape, I actually don't mind this as much as Smolder's whatever he's got going on. So I'm not going to dock as many points. Also, I really like the ice crystals coming out of the helmet in the combined robot mode. That's a cool little touch. I will put him above Smolder as a all-around picture. I think Smolder makes a better individual toy. I think Ice Pick is just a little bit better all around. And again, points for uniqueness. Okay, so not quite as unique here. This is Leadfoot. But this one just has the advantage of just being like really nice and solid all around. As far as like unique design aspects go, you do have the gigantic hands. He has built-in Hulk hands, which, you know what? Okay, I don't mind that so much. You know, use the exhaust as his big fingers. That's okay. I'm not totally against that. But, you know, I love the F1 mode. I like having an F1 car that isn't just Mirage or drag strip. You know, he's doing something a little bit different than either, you know, like, again, like the exhaust becoming the hands and the sides, like, he doesn't just strike me as an indie, like he doesn't strike me as an F1 car that could just become Mirage or Drag Strip. It's doing enough of its own unique thing that it takes me out of that possibility, which is exactly what I wanted. This is a really, really nice figure on its own, and the torso mode ain't bad. We're getting into more solid torsos now. The shoulders are closer to the body. It still has a wide hip thing going on, but it does a much better job of shaping itself to avoid it looking too awkward. So I think he deserves premium. I think he deserves premium. Not quite as good as Huffer overall, but I do think we're getting into better territory here. And then we have to talk about Sledge. So that thing of it just looks like they slapped things together until it looked like it did something. That is the construction question mark mode that he has. So he's got the backhoe, he's got the plows in the front, and he also has a trench digger. And all of this just kind of dumped in together. I don't know if there's a real construction vehicle that's trying to be a Swiss Army knife on treads, but here it is. Here's as close as I think you're going to ever come to it. I don't know, I feel like they overcomplicated that design. Like, the vehicle mode just looks a little bit weird to me because they tried to do a little bit too much with it. Now, that said, the robot mode don't look too bad at all. Looks pretty solid. I like the buzzsaw. Like, okay, sure. We'll look a little bit Gigan and have like the buzzsaw in the chest. We can do that. But he has a pretty solid look to him. I like how his the bucket's arms kind of fold up around his fists and just look like big punching knuckles. It's like, I like the individual robot. But again, we have to go into that weird torso mode. Where again, like, there's nothing bulking out the body to make the chest look wider. So it's literally just sticking stems out to form the shoulders and just like box posing his hips in order to form the hips, the legs of it. It looks incredibly awkward. I have to be a little bit meaner. I would put this maybe high bargain bin. The individual robot mode, like, I really like how the robot mode looks. I think the vehicle mode needed like one less construction job to do. And I think the torso mode just needed some other way to bulk it out. I don't know why, when you had this many things on the vehicle mode, like all these different like shovels and scoops and everything on the vehicle mode, why you couldn't use any of that to fill out the torso and make him look a little bit more solid, you know? Like, they're just kind of hanging. Like literally, his bucket arms are just kind of hanging over his shoulders, doing absolutely nothing, when they could be on the underside, contributing to this. So yeah, I think it's half-baked. I think this one's half-baked. Good robot, and then we kind of forgot the rest. Okay, do we even need to argue heavy tread? Do we even need to argue heavy tread? Heavy tread is such a good power core combiner toy. There are entire third-party upgrade kits devoted just to him. Just to his figure. Because he is that good, and we didn't want to have to merge him with a bunch of jank-looking like drones that look like they're like cars where the bottom fell out. And they're just hanging off them, pretending to be arms. Like, we wanted genuinely good-looking heavy tread. But no, I cannot argue this one at all. Robot mode looks good, while still looking kind of unique for a tank transformer. Tank looks brilliant. Tank is an absolutely beautiful tank. Torso mode is spot on perfect. Like, you're using the bulk of the tank to actually create the chest. That works great. The hips do not look super wide or out of place. They look like they're correct. The shoulders don't have to go super long on stems or anything. It's a perfect combiner torso for this toy line. Absolute perfection. The fact that this was like a late run mold in Power Core and didn't have a dedicated 5-pack is criminal. Because, like, toys this good would have saved that line. it's one of those lines where like they figured out how to make them really good, like at the end of the life cycle, like too late to fix it. But yeah, Heavy Tread has to go number one. Has to go number one. He's universally the best in the entire line, right? All right, who we got next? We are up to Skyhammer, and Skyhammer is a little bit of an awkward child. I don't mind the robot mode outside of the floaty head look that it has. That's a little bit odd. Torso mode looks okay. Like, the hips aren't super wide. There's a little bit of, like, a wideness to his shoulders, but I don't mind it. I kind of like having the wings up as, like, almost like power glide, kickback, little shades. I like that. Like, that kind of works for me. So torso mode we go with. Torso mode looks fine. Both modes do kind of suffer in that like floaty head look, and I think it's that remaining part of the cockpit on top of the torso that's the problem, because the head has to be high enough to clear that, and in both cases it makes the head look like it's trying to escape its shoulders, and it looks very, very awkward. Jet mode looks nice. I cannot fault the jet mode. The jet mode looks absolutely great, and I do like the colors here too. I do like the colors here too. Like the muted blue, this like super dark, like bluish green, the orange hits. This all works for me. This all works for me. That's it. This one's hard to place. This one's actually hard to figure out. I don't remember his Minicon integration really being much of a factor on this one. But no, like, I'm not sure if I want to put it up at premium because it has such a weird issue with it that detracts from two of its modes. But other than that, none of its modes are really doing anything wrong. You know, we might put him like low end of premium, like the lowest end of premium, highest end of retail release. He fits somewhere in there. He lives somewhere in there, I think. And then we move into Undertoe, a very rare aquatic transformer. Now, here's another oddity. So, I really like the robot mode. It's a really nice, clean look. There's some junk hanging off him, but I think he wears it well. Like, there's weirdly enough, I almost vibe with the whole, like, the shoulder parts coming up here, and like I can all imagine as like diving equipment in a weird way. And then, of course, the vehicle mode, like that dual nose speedboat looks really cool. Looks really, really cool. I love seeing a speedboat transformer. We don't have enough of them. It's the combined mode. It's doing that. It's doing that box hip thing again, and the long stem arm thing again. And that immediately docks points because it looks garbo. But at the same time, look at the head sculpt. The head sculpt is so unique. It's a diving helmet Decepticon. Now, granted, not our first high octa punch, wherever you are out there. But I don't know. You're also giving me over the shoulder guns, and I have a very big soft spot for over the shoulder guns. I cannot, in good conscience, with that torso mode, I cannot in good conscience place this that high. But I do think it's doing better. I do think it's doing better than Smolder again. But man, it really does come down to like how you work those shoulder stems. Do you just let them float there, or do you actually use some of the toy's bulk to kind of fill that gap between the midsection and the shoulder? And it really does come down to that to save the look. You know, Smolder, Searchlight failed that, and unfortunately, Undertoe does as well. Ice Pick stays just ahead for that one reason. It actually does work that way. It fills it out nicely. Now, let's get into the 5-packs. So, all of this so far, and for the rest of this, we're not covering any of the repaints. I understand there are repaints that had vehicles and drones that work better for them. Individuals from the 5-pack as 2-pack that actually kind of worked better as toys. But we're judging like we always judge in these tier lists, by the mold. So, this moves into Bombshock. Bombshock was a really good start. Like, I think Bombshock is kind of what saved our early impressions of Power Core combiners, because all we had was Bombshock and the aerial bots, which we're going to come up to next. And this was like the quote, the good one, right? I do like the vehicle mode. It's reminiscent of Onslaught without being a direct ripoff. I do like that. The robot mode is inoffensive. I don't think it stands out very much, but there's nothing inherently wrong with it. And then you get to the robot mode. It's like the combined mode torso. Again, remember, we're kind of ignoring the drones about as much as we ignored the minicons. Because we're trying to judge by the core figure themselves. And this is not bad. It's kind of doing some of the same stuff, but the hips are not going for like full like 90-degree angles, which helps a lot. And the shoulders, again, it's about filling that gap between where the shoulders connect and the body. And this does a really, really nice job of it. I'm not sure it's quite Holy Grail tier, because nothing really comes close. But I do want to put that premium price on it. I do think it works as a really well-balanced figure, and I think this was like the best foot forward that they could have put out for Wave 1. That brings us to Skyburst, who is not as great. Okay. Jet mode is fine. A little bit of underkibble, but you know what Jet Transformer doesn't. So it's very, I know there's a few. Quiet. The individual robot is wearing its vehicle on its back. And here's the problem. Here's where this starts bugging me. When so much of that vehicle is being worn on the back, you know that that is just bulk that can be dedicated to engineering out that torso mode. And the torso mode, at best, looks okay. I think what bugs me the most on him is that, again, he's going for like more boxed off hips that are just the thighs going outward and the shins going downward. But the thighs on him are so thin that it's just not very convincing. He needs something to hide it and cover it up. He's doing the torso part correct. He's doing that part correctly. It's that pelvic area that's throwing me off. So he's not quite as interesting. I can't put him up to full retail. Where can we put him? Okay. I think somewhere like here. I think somewhere in here is where he lives. I still like Ice Pick better. I don't know why. Like, Ice Pick just hits me better. I think just because of the uniqueness. Like, that's the thing. Like, on an individual level, Skyburst just comes off as kind of like, He's just there. Just doing the Silverbolt thing. I'm wearing my vehicle on my back. Oh, this thing. Yes, I know once upon a time I promised this would be a very up-and-coming Plastic Addict episode, and then I never got around to it because life got really interesting. But this remains to be like my least favorite of the entire Power Core combiner group. The vehicle mode is probably the best mode that it has, and that is a generous thing. I think it's kind of a dull-ish car, and I think the Silver Flames are trying real hard to spice it up. I don't think it's working. The individual robot mode is horrendous in its proportions. Tiny, tiny head, oversized body, oversized feet, tiny, tiny arms. And even with all these weird bulk proportions, dumping so much bulk into the chest and the legs, still has back kibble. That sticks up like 2 feet over its head. I'm not about this in the least. Now, if you've never messed with it, the combined mode here would look okay at first, right? It would look okay. Like, it's definitely not doing some of the sins that I have put some of the others on this list for. But this is like a horrendously quality control, problem. A horrendously flawed toy is what I was going for. So, Power Core didn't have the best QC. Legs popping off and things like that, that's pretty common, but usually swapping drones from figure to figure will fix that. It's just a really awkward combination system they went with, but largely doesn't affect the main figure. This the main figure is heavily, heavily compromised. Parts that do not fold in, parts that do not stay together, clip together very strongly, just components that refuse to stay attached. There were not one, not two, not three, but four running changes to this mold. 4 fixes between release 1 and second release, just to try to alleviate some of the issues that this toy had, and it's still a mess. It is a quality control nightmare, just flawed at the fundamental engineering level. One of the worst figures I've ever messed with. And if I ever get the time of day to actually write episodes again, yeah, that's still shoe-in for Plastic Addict as soon as I get the chance. One day we'll have those again. Mudslinger, very rare figure for us because it's a monster truck. And even then, it's a very, I don't know, how do I phrase this? Like my first monster truck, the tires are not as big as you would expect them to be. But Mudslinger himself, the vehicle mode looks fine. Like, as monster trucks go, I need those wheels to be bigger, but I understand why they can't. If we take a look at the individual robot mode, that's pretty much why they don't do monster truck transformers. There's nowhere for big tires to go. So he's got just a ton of stuff hanging off of him. I'm not completely sold on like how his arms look either. The engine head is weird. Like, I don't mind the idea, but I do think it looks odd on him. I think it's because the rest of the helmet's blue, so it just kind of looks like he's balancing this, like, engine piece, this, like, intake on his head. Super awkward. And then we have the combined mode. It's doing the box hips thing again. And it's also doing the shoulder stem thing again, but it's trying very hard to hide it behind all the big monster truck tires. Also, we never figured out why his head looks like a Matrix, but it does. I don't know why they gave him big handlebar ears. It's just a thing he has. I'm not a fan of this one overall. I'm really not. I wish I was. I wish I was, because we need, like, monster trucks are so underrepresented in Transformers, but this ain't it. This ain't it. Let's see, moving on, we are up to the, alright, Grimstone. Grimstone and his Dinobot Pope combiner mode. Now, when you talk Power Core combiners, everyone will go nuts for this one. For a lot of people, this is the saving grace of the entire line. And because it's doing a few things correct that the other ones miss out on. Number one, it's the only beast combiner we had, so it immediately stood out to people. Number two, while all of these kind of link to another team, we've seen aerial bots, we've seen Combaticons, but that is essentially ways of keeping a hold of trademarks by attaching them to these combiners, but it does tangentially connect them to combiner teams. These, as Dinobots, actually look like Dinobots, though, whereas the rest are kind of like Aerial Bot in name, Stunticon in name, This looks like a team of Dinobots, which makes it very, very different. It also includes an Ankylosaurus, which means I'm immediately giving it an extra point. I was not as crazy about this one as everybody else. Like the Strachosaur mode, that's cool. The individual robot, I remember being far more limited, especially in the arm articulation, than I would have liked. And then the combined mode, what it has going for it is the unified colors. If we were judging the repaints today as well, there's a team with a Huffer repaint called the Destrons. And that is also color matched and looks far better than your standard Power Core team, which looks more like a haphazard Megazord. This being unified immediately makes it look a lot nicer. I don't remember it playing all that well. I remember like all the little arms and legs of the dinos kind of getting in the way a little bit. But as far as Power Core goes, this is one of the better ones. I think I would be in trouble if I didn't put it up to Holy Grail level. Even though I take some issue with it and I think it has some flaws, I don't think there's much in Power Core that doesn't have flaws. So I have to grade on a curve here. And speaking of, we get down to our final of the set. And this is Steamhammer, our Constructicon stand-in. And here's this weird dichotomy. Here's this weird inverse of what we've seen so far. The vehicle mode is fine. This bulldozer vehicle mode is absolutely fine. I don't mind that at all. The combination mode is actually pretty decent. It's doing the H-hip thing, but the hips here are a lot smaller, so they stay closer and tighter knit to the body, so it's not nearly as obvious or distracting. And it's got a really nice shape to the torso. It doesn't look bad at all in that regard. Like, I'll even count the drones on this one as like, oh, those are okay. We've had way worse drones. That actually looks kind of balanced, a little bit more symmetrical. It's the robot mode. That individual robot mode is so rough. That entire scoop is hanging off his back doing absolutely nothing in the transformation. You've got tank treads that are just hanging off of stems, off of kibble on his back. It looks so bad. I don't mind the weird, like, claw tonfas they gave him. It seems completely unnecessary, but okay. It gives him a little bit to work with. But otherwise, yeah, he's got a lot of junk going on. It's just a really rough little robot mode that he forms. So, like, that knocks him so much. That knocks him so much. Like, I think I have to bump him, I'll put him up to premium because the combined mode is so good and the vehicle mode's really solid. But, like, that robot mode, like, if it wasn't for that robot, if it was just a little bit cleaner, I'd put him up to Holy Grail, no problem. Right? Oh, well. Can't win them all. And that is the tier list. So, keep in mind, all of this is in relative, it's all relative to its own series. Meaning, most of these are not nearly as good as other Transformers that were available at the time. But within themselves, this is where I stack the Power Core combiners. For those who remember these atrocities, please let me know in the comment section below if I'm on the mark here. Let me know, or let me know if I'm absolutely wrong. That's valid as well. So, thank you all for watching. I will see you next time.
Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a Tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.